Welcome to Strange Normal. My name is Brad Burnham. We talk about the stranger things that happen in your normal life to give you a biblical understanding of what's going on. And there's a lot going on. So hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell icon so you're notified when things like this happen. Now, we don't have a roster tonight because it was kind of a quick put together, but I want to introduce our guest tonight, and you're going to be thrilled at what we have on the docket. So just hang in there. Hey, I know you guys. Eric, Matthew, how are you guys doing?
Yeah, hopefully it's not a surprise to you, at least.
I find myself once again here in a strange place, but it feels so normal.
Absolutely, and you know we've got some amazing.
A line? Did you actually? Is that a line from somewhere? Something?
No, I'm just riffing.
I
just came up with it. That's.
I was going to be shocked because you don't watch movies or anything. So if this is the one time I get to see Matthew do a movie line that's like.
I can proudly count like the number of movies I've seen on two hands.
Really?
I was never into movies. I'm just not a movie guy, to be honest. I never was. Hard for me to sit still, and just...
makes it impossible to have a conversation because I did nothing. Like I used to quote movie lines growing up, and so I try to drop references, and then I have to remember, he's not going to get them. So
yeah, I do the same thing. I watch way too many.
Eric is an archive of cinematic knowledge. I mean, he'll bring up anything. I'll be like talking about something. He's like, "Ooh, that's just like the B plot of blah 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 from the year. Blah, blah. Oh, it stars so and so in this type of a role. Well, very rare for them to be in a role like this because this guy will go on."
Let me tell you. In fact, that was actually a big deal. Oh man, we're on air and I'm just completely rabbit trailing. But you got to watch. We just recorded an episode of LED Live this afternoon, and it was fantastic because it did that exact thing. It was like it compared 4 different movies from different eras and said, "Hey, look, they have the exact same plot, and look what the plot is all about." It's really fascinating what it's all about. We're gonna get that in editing. And hopefully out in a few weeks. But you got to wait for that one. I'm not going to reveal too much about it. But what I am going to reveal...
The sun, right?
There isn't. But this one's really fascinating. It's going to cause a lot of controversy because of what Hollywood appears to be pushing. And a lot of Christianity is kind of already... Oh, man, I'm going to have to say too much already. You know, I can't do it. We got to go into the show.
We'll wait for it. We'll check it out, yeah.
Yeah, check it out. Okay, so we're going to jump right into something, one of the major clips I have tonight, because I think I rearranged these on accident. But Impulsive is a podcast by Logan Paul. I always want to call him Paul Logan. Logan Paul, whatever his name is. And he's a fighter and a popular podcaster and has had a lot of controversy behind what he produces. And he did something kind of strange. He tried to pay $100,000 for some legitimate UFO footage that no one's seen yet. This is remarkable. And I think it's kind of strange at the same time. So check this out. We're going to play this 3-minute clip, 3 minutes, 40 seconds.
Joe Rogan has evidently a person that was on our podcast.
You don't remember James
of course
Fox?
I remember fucking James Fox, bro. It was a joke, but sometimes it was so long ago.
It was long.
300 episodes. So brings James Fox on his show to talk about alien evidence, so on and so forth. And James Fox shares a previously unheard story about you going to purchase this existing footage of aliens landing on the Earth for $100,000. What was the guy's name that wouldn't sell it to you?
Chuck Clark.
Chuck Clark, who has been gatekeeping this footage like a freaking OnlyFans girl, would not sell you the footage for a rack of hundreds, right? So you said, "Hey man, do you mind just showing it to me?" And while he showed it to you, you recorded it on a secret fucking camera.
What do you want from me, bro? I'm a sneaky.
Oh, you stole the footage.
I'm a sneaky little fuck.
Oh, that's sick. Damn.
Yeah.
I thought you just bought it like the Pokemon cards.
No, I tried it. I offered him $100,000 for this tape after I had seen it.
Was it worth it? Would it be worth $100,000?
Let me tell you this: he should have taken the money because I got the footage anyway.
No, okay.
And I'll tell you why I did that, because it's a little twisted. It's a little twisted of me to put on a small button camera and go film UFO footage that isn't mine. Here's the thing, though. It's not his either. It's not.
Oh, that's true.
The people who shot it gave it to him and expected that he would keep it hidden for himself. It's not his footage. He's keeping what I thought at the time, important UFO, alien, extraterrestrial proof in his possession and not showing it. Like, why? I think that is doing a disservice to the world. Like, what's the because you said you wouldn't share it? Not gonna do it for me.
Well,
You're
Rogan
being selfish.
said Rogan.
It is that because you saw it.
Hold on a second. I'm not saying anything.
Rogan said the reason he's probably not sharing it is because it's probably fugazi. You know what I'm saying? So he's locking it down just to build hype up.
No. Chuck Clark lives in a shack in the middle of nowhere. It was the most middle of nowhere I've ever been in my life.
And you're from Ohio.
Yeah. And so
Fucking
the guy's
pilgrim.
not clout chasing or anything, but you know, I don't know. Yeah, a lot of people hit me up. The most random, like, you know, clouded people hit me up asking to see this footage, and I don't know how much to say about this.
Roll the clip.
No,
And let's.
I'm waiting. You know what I'm waiting for? I'm waiting for the right moment. I'm not afraid to release it. I'm just waiting for the right moment. I need a little more. I need more. More
See, I
what?
don't want to fly with you. I feel like you're a risk right now. Like, I feel like either the CIA or NSA or whatever, you know, acronym, you know, organization knows that you have this footage. They know you've been in contact with Michael J. Fox. What's his name again? What was it? Jimmy Fox. And he fucking knows that you have this shit, bro. Like, I don't even want.
All right. Well, I thought I got all those bad words out of there, but I didn't. Good grief. It's amazing how much you hear once you hear it on air. It's like, I missed that one. Anyways.
Oh, yeah, that's a really bad one. Oh, he's stringing them together now.
But anyways.
It was a valiant effort.
It
was a valiant effort. But
got
honestly,
two of them.
It was a minefield. It was a minefield.
I must have got busy doing something else and rendered it. But anyway, so I apologize for that. Let's get over the top of that. I usually try to grab those. But what I think is fascinating about that clip is that he said that popular people, random people are reaching out to him that are very well known, very well clouted, and they're saying, "Hey, I want to see this footage." That's fascinating to me. That number one, that he would take the footage. Doesn't show. I mean, I don't think he was a very moral guy anyway. He did that whole thing where he got banned from YouTube. If you want to go look at that, I'm not going to talk about that in this channel, but. And now he's doing this. So I find it fascinating that it's kind of building hype to the point where he's ready to release it. And he's like, I need more. I need more. What does this mean? It sounds like he wants some money for it. Oh my goodness. So I think he's got a deception on his hands. He's got something what people want, and he's making it work for him. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, my first thought was that nobody should ever pay money to go see a UFO, because I'm pretty sure by the time Christ comes back, we're all going to see it for free. So, it'd be a waste of $100,000. I mean, give me $100,000. I'm sure I can make you some kind of video from a UFO. But it's just interesting that I just have to wonder what role this plays in the ultimate disclosure. Who gave it to this Clark guy? What were their motivations? How does this all factor in? I don't know. I'm sure it does somehow. I just don't know how. Mm-hmm. But that's what we do. We hypothesize, and we just at least, hey, there's a piece on the board. Where might it move? We'll just have to wait and see.
What do you think, Matthew?
Yeah, it's just impressive how underhanded he was about it, talking about how he used a button cam. So he went in there with that intention. It's not like, he's just saying it. And the way he moralizes it, too, he's like, oh, it's not his either. Someone else gave it to him. It's like, okay, if someone gives me something and it's in my house and you come and take it out of my house, you can't just say, oh, well, it's technically I didn't steal it. Somebody gave you that, like.
It's technically not yours.
He inherited the crystal, that's the, that dinnerware's mine. All right. But Yeah, the fact that he like wore something in, it just his intentions are already bad.
Right.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's a lot we could say about that community in general. Because they're called influencers, right? I always find that interesting. But now the influencers are getting in on the UFO topic, and
Which
they're going to start in.
they don't mean me to
Just
cut you
that
off. Go for it.
No, just that they're going to start influencing people into, anticipating some type of disclosure or an event.
Well, I think it's fascinating because I think Roger Murdo talked about that. I wish I had that clip I'd pull out here because he said that towards the end, influencers will come in and they'll say, we got this thing and we got to show you. And I've had contact with the dead and all this other stuff that we know is already happening with this UFO disclosure stuff. So I think that this is just a piece in the puzzle because you got a bunch of Hollywood doing it. Now you got the bunch of YouTubers doing it, and you got a bunch of TikTokers doing it. We got all generations. Oh yeah, and then you got the C-SPAN crew. So you got completely everyone who watches everything is just inundated with this stuff right now. So that's what's happening. That's what's up. Next on the docket here is should I play this? Let me see. Let me pop this up real quick so I see what we got. Yeah, let's go ahead and play this. This is a minute 30. This is interesting. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing that impulsive clip. Wasn't from the news, but let's take a look at a lot of other news clips and things that happened last week. So this is current information that's going on, just from around the nation. And I'm using the thing that we have been setting up and raising money for, which is the TBI's thing. I went ahead and we put in money for it, even though we didn't quite reach our goal, but I thought it would be good to have this feature in hopes that someday we will be able to afford this thing and we'll be able to get some amazing footage as we monitor what's happening with this thing throughout time. So check this out. This is from last week.
UFO video
how'd
has
this happen?
hit the web.
I didn't even see this in the rundown.
Are you ready to talk about this? Okay, now pay close attention.
I'm going
now.
to pay attention.
Okay.
Well, I look at my phone and you do the no, I'm just kidding.
No, listen.
UFOs,
this
go.
time, a model shared it and described it as the best UFO footage ever. Look at this.
Is this real?
Yeah. Yeah. So they captured this strange object. Come on. This is passing.
Is this real?
Yes, over her window.
This isn't real.
While in a private jet over Colombia. Shared it last month, and UFO enthusiasts we're just salivating at this. What is that? What is that? The Pentagon, think about it, continuing to make statements in line with seeing things in the sky that we cannot explain.
Can I
Okay.
say 2 words? Or I'll wait.
Yes, let me just say one more thing because
Yes,
the
I'll
people
wait.
want to talk too. Does this
Yes.
video, does this support the existence of UFOs? We want you to vote. We're going to get the poll up and running. And when you see it, you just put your phone. There we go.
There you go. You put your phone. Thank you, everybody who says it doesn't prove anything. I'm with them.
It's very few people. Oh, wait, is no the red?
Yeah, the red is us.
Oh, dang.
It's 80% of us saying that.
It'll change. It'll change. You just give them
It'll
a second.
change to
They just popped it up.
90%.
Okay. Well,
And my second question is more of a comment. I can't believe the tides have turned in your favor. 46% for you now, just 54 for me.
thanks, Dad.
So you might have saw it jump there because I kind of cut out a bunch of stuff because they kept talking and yakking about it as they had those things jump up there and tried to get people to vote. They wanted to vote to see if people thought it was a UFO or not. We've seen this thing. We talked about this when it first came out. I didn't know it was by a model that was on her private jet or something, or where it came from. But apparently they snapped a shot of something. It might have been a balloon. Who knows? But people, as you can see by the graph when we was up there, it's still up on my screen. Well, 45% say it's definitely a UFO. 55% says it doesn't prove anything. What do you guys think?
I like the self-depreciating humor from the woman because she's like, "Thanks, Dad," because she knows that no one's watching legacy media. So like one vote from her dad could tip the poll that heavily. I thought that was awesome. I like that. I thought it was, nothing on those shows are organic. None of that's genuine. I don't know. Whenever you see like people on TV laughing around, it just has a different. I don't know. I genuinely laugh here when I'm with you guys. I crack up. I think things are funny, but there was no one before we go on air that's separate from us who's like, all right, boys, here's the talking points, and this is what you will say and will not say. This is what you can laugh at. Make sure you give it a sensible chuckle for this one. And then really, when we open up the polls, I want you to bust a gut laughing about the possibility that it could be real. That's the type of manufactured environment you're in on TV. So I think I've noticed that as a trend, and I'm sure some people in our audience have. You guys have noticed it as well. We've looked at it long enough. There's always at least one, sometimes it's the entire panel, but there's always at least one person on the TV who's like, this again? The UFO stuff? Oh, you're joking me. This is a big joke. Over and over.
Go for it.
I don't know who else. I don't know who else saw this, but when I first saw the ship, it looked like the ship from Flight of the Navigator. That I used to love that movie as a kid, and it looked almost identical to that. Something I just wondered about with all of these sightings. So they say she was on a private jet, and I didn't really get a good indication of which way the craft or the UAP was flying in relation to the jet, but it's kind of interesting because usually anybody who's been on an airplane, something that passes you going the opposite direction, it happens quick. You don't have time to snap a photo of it. So again, with our vantage point of viewing these as fallen angels, demonic entities, and putting on a show, I just have to wonder what the lead up to that video, any footage that I see is like, okay, what was the lead up that allowed them to have time to, because even in this age where everybody's got a smartphone, everybody's taking video, there's a lot of stuff that happens that you just simply don't have time to catch because most people aren't walking around with their phone directly in front of their face all the time. So I just thought that was interesting.
It is interesting, and especially since you can't really tell what it is. It could be one of those mylar balloons. Consequently, those mylar balloons are the number one cause of power failure. Those metallic balloons get on power lines and trip breakers, high tension power line breakers, and so then the whole power
Are you
goes
sure
out.
about that? Number one.
Number one. That's what I heard. I'm gonna look that up. Hey,
Yeah,
check me. Let me see here.
It just seems kind of so with ice
How many are there
and wind damage and things like
released?
got
Mylar
somebody on the shore of
balloons.
China just releasing mylar balloons.
I'm thinking Brad is like trying to push an agenda here. He's like secretly putting the idea in people's heads, like, oh yeah, these things can take down a whole power grid.
Yeah.
Shame.
Well, I
We
heard
need to
that.
increase our defense budget because we got to deal with these mylar balloons. Is that what you're getting at? Do you work for the Pentagon?
Man,
Brad,
I
have you
type in
been-
mylar
you
balloon
have
power
supported that?
lines into Google, and it says mylar balloon Breaking Bad. That apparently is on a TV show. Mylar balloon helium near me. Anyway, I'll look that up. I'll put it in the notes and find out exactly
I don't
where it
remember
is.
that episode.
Oh no, but
Kind of tangentially, that the Japanese released a lot of those balloons with bombs on them during World War II, and like really aside from one of them killing like a pastor's family in Oregon, I think it was after the war, one of them fell on power lines and it disrupted the Manhattan Project for like a day or two or something like that. But that was essentially the only effect during the war.
really,
Completely. Why do I know that? Who knows? But there you go.
well, I heard it was quite a significant problem, but maybe it's not as big of a problem as I remember. I'm gonna find that out. I'm gonna research that next week. We're
I
gonna
heard it from
figure
a
out.
lobbyist, probably.
Probably. Okay. This was interesting. So Newsmax, which is another channel that's on cable, I think, they have a whole hour or half hour show devoted to presidents and UFOs. I just learned this recently because it's on every time I do a search trying to find more information about this. I have to exclude the History Channel because the History Channel is just full of this garbage. Like it becomes
Ancient
UFO
aliens.
Network after like midnight, and I'm like typing in UFO, and it's like, what is going on here? Oh, I've got like 8 pages of the History Channel talking about UFOs, so I have to uncheck History Channel. But Newsmax actually has a pretty good clip. So watch this. This is interesting information, and there's much more to it, but I can't include it yet because I'm trying to get around the content ID. But check this out.
The U.S. Navy has finally acknowledged that videos appearing to show UFOs flying through the air are real. They don't call them UFOs. They call them unidentified aerial phenomena.
In 2017, UFO historians, researchers, and witnesses finally hit pay dirt. The New York Times expose, armed with the leaked Navy cockpit videos, forced the government into admitting Reed's secret program existed, and the recordings of UFOs were authentic. Now, the only question left was, did the world need protection against an all-out alien invasion? On May 17, 2022, Congress held the first public hearings in over 50 years on UFOs. Experts, government officials, and scientists testified on reports of what are now called UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomenon. Although lawmakers from both parties claimed UFOs are a national security problem, when it came to any confirmation about UFOs from the Oval Office, mum's the word was still the order of the day.
Part of a grand conspiracy. I'm not aware of any plans the president has to make public any information about this, but
does he feel he's gotten to the bottom of it?
Well, I know that he has joked publicly before about one of the benefits of the presidency is having access to that information. I don't know whether or not he has availed himself of that opportunity.
UFOs? Any UFOs? Did you ask about that?
I've certainly asked about it.
And?
Can't tell you. Sorry.
Okay. All right, I'll take that as a yes. Because if there were none,
Why
you'd
not?
say there was none, right?
Feel free to think that.
I do.
We don't discuss that publicly for a range of reasons.
You gave an interview the other day in which you said you've been briefed on unidentified flying objects. Are they real?
Personally, I tend to doubt it. We have had people saying that they've seen things. I don't assume it's correct, but, I have an open mind, Tucker.
Do you think he knows more than he's letting on, or do you think, as some people say, even the president doesn't know?
My impression was that the president does know more than he said. Once in office, every president has become mum on the subject.
Is the human race ready to accept full disclosure of alien involvement on Earth and that we are not alone? Thank you for watching this presentation of
Presidents and UFOs. I love how they go from UFO, it's a UFO to are we not alone? As if, I mean, we know the end all of this, but you can't really draw that conclusion from UFO to it must be an alien presence. But we always jump straight to that idea. Anyway, what did you guys get out of that? That's obviously
you can if you don't have a biblical viewpoint, because then that's what Satan's been successful in evolution. And this concept of, and I never really thought about it before, but there's certain things that are like baked in to, whether it's a topic or an item or whatever it is, an idea. There's things that are baked into it that you just can't remove. It's part of the idea. And so every science fiction that depicts aliens, you have the Starship Enterprise going out and exploring the galaxy and encountering a new race of beings for the first time. Well, where did they come from? It's just implied evolution. It's a fundamental part of the show. So when you don't have the perspective of, okay, there's a biblical reason that we're seeing these. There's things going on behind the scenes spiritually that we can't see, but that affect us. Your mind could, Satan has filled people's minds with evolution and everything but Jesus Christ and God. And so it's not really surprising to me that that's where people's minds go, because that's where Satan has put a deliberate, concerted effort to conditioning mankind to accept that narrative.
100%. Matthew?
Yeah, the evolution thing is interesting, I think. It's something that I've considered before, and I think that it'll definitely provide the framework for the deception, and a big reason why they're like, we're reaching out right now, because you're at a critical point in your development, societally, evolutionarily. You're on the path, and we're guardians, and we're here to make sure you go to the next step. About the presidents, all the different presidents and personalities you saw talking about this issue, notice how it's not a partisan thing. Because we've got, and on one hand, Stephen Colbert and Barack Obama, ultra liberal, ultra Democrat, and then you have Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump, ultra conservative, ultra Republican, both talking about the same issue and stirring it up on either side. Because this is one of those things that's going to unite people across the lines when they come in and they play peacemaker. I think that's going to be. And that's part of the identifier. It's like, who could bring about this type of peace other than Jesus Christ himself? Yeah. Like, wow, we're so grateful for your intervention, God, that you're uniting the parties and you're blending all the religions into one. And they'll do that by, I think, pointing to what they're going to say is an underlying truth that is the great deception that is described in the Bible. It's something that everyone's going to buy into because it unites them. It's going to bring them together as one, and they're going to say, this is the basis that we can have our new world. But we, as Bible-believing Christians, will have to reject it on its face and say, yeah, no, like that's not something I can go along with. That's not something
doesn't match the Bible.
Exactly. Yes. And it's going to be very frustrating because they'll reinterpret that Bible.
Oh yeah.
And there's going to come a time where you will try to deliver sound doctrine to people and they will totally turn you off. They'll be like, okay, you think that's what the gospel says. You think that's what the Bible is all about. But, they were just giving a sermon last week and they touched on that topic. And really what you're missing out on is in A, B, C, and D. And that's straight from Peter's mouth because the apostles are back from the dead and they're teaching on the books they wrote. It'll be very frustrating. But I just think it's, just bring it back around. Interesting to see all of these different parties buying into the same narrative.
Absolutely. And along what you said, Eric, about evolution, I think that's fascinating because, you could watch any TV show and they always bring it back to evolution. Star Trek. They had a whole episode. We went over a whole episode about how they talked about a small civilization that saw them up there and it turned out to be a UAP-looking thing and they weren't as advanced yet, but they came down as the Starship Enterprise crew and they said, oh, you know what? We want to make peace and make sure you guys don't destroy yourself. Makes you wonder. And the whole thing was based around, the evolution of this world hasn't reached enough or to the point where we should reveal ourselves yet. It was so much propaganda. If you haven't seen that one, go back and watch that. But
here's something. It's funny because are you going to say?
Go ahead.
I was going to bring up a conversation we had recently, Eric. We were having a little phone call. And talking about how one of the markers is actually FTL, faster than light travel, is usually one of the waypoints too, because it's like once you hit this marker, you can interact with other civilizations across the stars. So it's like once you get a warp drive, for example, or like you get a faster than light, whatever. So that is a prevalent theme as well in sci-fi. I don't think we're anywhere near that type of technology, and I don't even know if it exists necessarily, but just wanted to bring that up too, just based off of what we're looking in the media. Eric, please. I feel so bad that I kind of cut you off there. I really want to know.
No, you don't. But it's all right. Anyways, the thing the other distraction that we have to keep in mind is there's a lot of people focused on politics and things of this earth, and this is why I really think, and it was important for me to get out of the mindset of like fixing things on this earth, or the idea that somehow God is going to fix the United States of America and that's what the goal is, or things like that. And I bring this up because it plays into the whole people focusing on these so-called leaders, the presidents, and they look to them as like these guys are in the know, or these guys are in a position to do something. If you think the president of the United States is the most powerful person in the world, or even the country, you need to get into the Bible more, because these people are from in every country, leaders at the top of every sphere are being run by ultimately Satan. And
Are you
whether
saying
they
Joe
know it or
Biden
not,
is not the leader of the free world, Eric?
yeah,
That is a
we're not going to
controversial
get into that specific case, anyways. But like, there's a commonality. I always think of these crime shows where you have like, the police are investigating and they have the big board and they have all of these like pictures, and then there's the one in the center that's like a shadow, and all the things are coming to that line, and it's just a question mark, and that's the whole point of the show, is to find out who the shadow guy is. It's Satan. Let's just
we figured it out.
Yeah, there you go. Problem solved. And so, but if you don't have that worldview, you look at these presidents or whoever it is, like the White House press secretary. If you think you're going to get the full truth from a White House press, any of either party, you're not. The government lies to its people. Every government lies to its people. So it's important to, when we see these things and you see the official statements, I don't want to say always do the 180 and just not believe them at all, but you have to realize that there is always a narrative being pushed, and that needs to be the mindset of, okay, this is what they're saying. How does this align with what I know God's word says is going to happen before Christ returns, and how could this, affect God's people?
Yeah. And I think the reason, or the way that this political thing really, really gets messed up is through money. The love of money is the root of all evil, and a lot of these politicians are bought and sold. And in other words, it's easy to say that, but what it really comes down to, as a good example, is when you say, hey, I've got this thing over here and I have a lot of money. Will you vote this way if I give you a gift, or do something special for you? Or there's ways around the taxes, by the way. And you do this thing, and suddenly all these guys are paid for life, and they are in it for life, and they have side gigs, side hustles that make them a lot of money. And then you can get anything you want if you have the money. So I think that's Satan's favorite gift. This is what I always say. Satan's favorite gift is money, because it ruins lives if you don't use it properly. Not saying money is bad, but the love of money is the root of all evil. Anyway, let's not get too far off on that. But
well, and also, what does it cost him? This is my thing with the whole, and I wish one of these days I'll have to talk with Mikey about the moon landing thing. But people, one of the other arguments that people will make is like, well, do you think the government really spent all these hundreds of millions of dollars to do? What is hundreds of millions or billions of dollars to a spirit being who's bent on our destruction? Like, what does he care?
When you're the banker in a game of Monopoly.
Yeah.
I need another 1,000. Oh, here we go. All right, we're good to
pocket
go.
change. Yeah, and
we know, the money has been printed too. I mean, not to like this is an interesting episode. You already said it, Brad. Like, we've got it's a short type of episode, so we'll talk about whatever. But just the money thing in general, to Eric's credit, they've been printing money at an unprecedented rate. Yeah. I mean, the amount of new currency that's been introduced into circulation is just, there's ever been something quite like this in the history of the country.
It's more in the past like 2 or 3 years than in all of American history as combined. It's
times like 10 or something.
Oh, this is going to blow your mind. Go home and actually, if you get your hands on like a 20, a 50, and 100, look at the different. Each one of those has a different color. It's straight up Monopoly money. Not even they're not even hiding it. Somebody has to be laughing because of that. Because it literally went from I remember when they were all greens, and then they started changing the colors, and now it's and that's what it's going to be worth. I mean, we all know that. We're not going to take bank accounts or gold. Scripture says that they're going to, people will throw their gold and silver in the streets, and we only get to take our character. with us. And so that's the important thing is recognizing that and then going forward with that in mind, approaching everything, including the UAP phenomenon, whatever is going on in the news, with that in the back of our minds.
Yeah, yeah. And I want to post that graph just to kind of get people's ideas of what's going on here, because I think that's pretty valid. So I'm going to pop that in here real quick. And is it not going to let me? Oh, it's not going to let me do that. It's a WebP, whatever that is. It's not a JPEG. It's a WebP. While I'm working on that, I'm trying to get the image of this graph, because 10 years ago I was looking at this image and I was like, oh look, something broke here. Why are we spending so much money and trying to get this thing off the ground where we are?
If you send it to me in the Discord, I might be able to take a screenshot of it and send it back.
I think I can do it. Copy that. Okay, there we go. Well, that was not exactly what I wanted, but we're gonna roll with it because that's how it works. Save that there. Okay, good. This is why we do things beforehand, so we don't have to do this. But I think this is a very important thing to look at. If people haven't seen this, they need to see this. I'll pop this in here. There we go. All right. So I'm going to switch over to this right now. Cut over. So that's a picture of what's it called? Paint shop, because I tried to do this really quick and it just took a picture of the whole window instead of the actual image. But if you look down here, this is over time, all of a sudden you have that blue graph goes just haywire. And that's how much we're printing money. I'm going to come back to our shot here. And you can see at the end that we've gone from printing a little bit to all of a sudden we're printing a lot. That's called inflation, folks. And it's a real problem. And that's why we're talking about it on the news so much. Speaking, go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking. Well, all this stuff is interlocked. It's interrelated. So I think that you have to have economic troubles in order to facilitate some of the wild stuff that's coming. And how better to do that than, just making the currency worthless. That's a great way to cause an economic problem. Eric, you remember the conversation we had where you were talking about people during the London bombings in World War II?
Oh yeah, it seemed to be the sirens would go off for the German air raid, and at first everybody was in their shelters, and after a while the sirens were going off so much that people just the siren goes off, I'll go to the pub. Like, he stopped caring. And that's where, you look at the events of the past 2-3 years. I saw an interview with one woman. She said they were asking her about, a bunch of things that you could be afraid of in this day and age. I'm trying to be careful here. I don't want to get this video pulled from YouTube, but she's just basically said, yeah, I don't care anymore. Like, if, the war, she even said something to the effect of, if there was a comet, or a nuke about to strike, right on top of me right now, I don't care. Like, and this is the impression I get too myself, everything's a bombshell, everything's, so-and-so nuked so-and-so in this press exchange. There's only so much of that before you can take, before you just get desensitized to it. It's like, right. Great, a nuke went off, great, where? Awesome. It's going to get to that point. But the thing that is interesting is that is the case as long as everybody's fed. And as long as the lights are on, and as long as everybody can pay their bills and things like that. But if you disrupt the monetary, I heard a long time ago, it's like once people's food bill gets to about 50% of their income every month, that's when you start getting massive civil unrest and riots and things. And we're pretty quickly approaching that, I'd say, for a lot of people. And so I think that's going to be, Matt, and you and I have talked about the Titanic video. There's somebody did a video where they show the Titanic sinking in real time, and I highly recommend people watch it because it's a unique experience. Don't speed it up, just watch it. But anyways, the feeling I got when watching this is everything feels fine until the last, and this doesn't happen until the last 2.5 minutes, where the ship breaks in half and the lights go out. So, the whole time the Titanic is sinking, and, and even if you've seen the film Titanic, you even kind of get this impression. It's like, oh, we got this ship, the lights are on, everything's fine. We have this piece of technology, and then the ship breaks in half, the lights go out, and then the whole mood changes. And I have a feeling that as a society, we're heading towards one of those moments where it's like, because there could be UFOs, there could be war in Ukraine, there could be pestilences or food shortages, but people by and large go about their daily business. And as long as they can get food and things are like normal, then they just shrug it off. But I don't know what this event is going to be exactly or how it's going to look, but I think we're headed, Scripture tells us we're headed for something that is going to majorly disrupt human civilization. And I think the purpose of this channel, we think that the UAP phenomena is going to be part of that somehow.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I think that there's going to be more than just UAP problems going on. There's going to be, all kinds of things appearing that people aren't going to say, oh, that's an alien. They're going to say, oh, yeah, that's my dead loved one, the Apostle Paul, all this other stuff like you were mentioning earlier. And so speaking of religion, I think the majority, at least today, of religion is kind of swayed towards this being a demonic presence. But as things progress, we're going to have a lot of people kind of digging it, and especially in the churches. But right now, I found this through TV Eyes, recording a sermon of someone talking about UFOs this last Sunday. Check this out.
As you know, one of the greatest movies ever made was the Ten Commandments, dealing with the opening up the Red Sea. I hate to tell you this, but in the History Channel, they have mentioned something that upset me. I saw that with my own eyes. And so they were explaining biblical truths and how these things happened. And they said, now the way this happened was, there was a UFO, a big spaceship. Now this was on national television on the History Channel. And this big spaceship turned its jet around. It just blew all the water out and it made a streak across that. Now whoever said that, I feel sorry for them. Because that's just not the way that it happened. Because God, could you say with me, God? 1, 2, 3, God delivered them. The one that says, I will never leave thee nor forsake thee. I mentioned to you.
I'm going to pause it right there. And I think that's the general consensus of especially the older generation is, this is silly. But if you watch some of these episodes on the History Channel that talk about this ancient alien stuff, they try their best to completely sway you to show you that aliens are existing in the Bible. And there's a lot of people that believe this too. And so with things that appear and they show that they are X, Y, and Z from another planet somewhere, occupying heaven somewhere else, there's going to be a lot of people deceived by that. And then we're going to see sermons completely change, because a lot of sermons, dare I say it, are not based on the Bible anymore. You got to open the Word of God and see exactly what it says. Otherwise, you have no light. So you got to be solo scriptura, if I can quote Martin Luther.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big part of part of that. I don't want to call it a phenomenon; just call it part of human nature that Satan plays on, is the fact that people aren't thinking and talking about this beforehand. And a lot of situations, especially impactful or momentous situations, you don't have time to think, and so. This is exactly like why the military, does drill. I mean, or any government like NASA or whatever, they did drills, or the military does drills beforehand. There's procedures, they're written down. They're all talked about and decided when everybody is calm, cool, collected, and you just drill that so that when the situation happens, you don't have to, because you can't think. I mean, anybody who, I watch videos of people who get into gunfights or they get into stressful situations, it's all training that you've done beforehand. It just becomes automatic. But if you haven't done the training, you're kind of SOL, as they say, because you're just going to go with whatever your fight or flight is just going to take over, and you're not going to be rational. You're not going to be thinking about it. And that's the danger and we've seen that these demons and these experiences, they play on emotion, that Satan wants to shut off rationality. Music bypasses rationality. Satan is all about manipulating emotions, so that, because in the rational mind, you can think and you can read and say, okay, no, God's word says this makes sense. But if we haven't talked about this, or churches haven't talked about this specifically beforehand, they're doing their flocks a disservice. And I understand everybody's got a niche. Like for whatever reason, we all like this topic, and there's other ministries on YouTube or whatever, and they're still putting out good, strong biblical information that, but they're not, if somebody's deliberately not covering something, whether it's because they're uncomfortable or they don't know enough about it, get educated, educate others around you, because this is important to know beforehand. So that way, immediately when we see it, we can shut it down in our own mind and the minds of people around us. We can look at it, and we don't have, because there's going to be people that wonder, and they're going to see that and be like, well, I don't know, maybe I never thought about that much before. Maybe let's see what they have to say. And right there, then Satan's got you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right, Eric, because, well, part of it is, too, I think it's interesting that was the older gentleman talking about it, a guy in the older generation addressing it. And I wonder just what they're waiting on with this stuff, because it's been built up for a while now. I mean, I guess in terms of human history, it's a very short period of time, but it's permeated several generations at this point. I mean, Roswell was back in the late 40s, and that's where a lot of this started to happen. So we know that it's something they introduced relatively recently, but for us, could be the way we experience the passage of time, we only live so long. It seems like this UFO stuff has been around for a while, and it's been built up. So I don't think that all of this just amounts to nothing, because clearly it is a demonic deception. We see that in a lot of the material we've covered, that there are spirit beings interacting with the researchers, and they're providing these anti-biblical ideas. So we know who that is. We know that they're putting stock in this. And the question is, okay, when do they pull this, the cord? And so obviously we have a window of time where we can talk to people about it, get the thought in their head. Even if they laugh at you initially, at least it's something that they'll consider and they'll have in their minds. But I have a feeling that we're heading towards a generation that will be deceived. Because I was thinking, listening to this, and I noticed it was an older man, but I was thinking, okay, well, what kind of generation? And in 2 Timothy 3, it opens up saying, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come." And then we have this little list of adjectives. "For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away." And if we go down and we look at this is a big kind of list, but all of these identifiers are found in one generation. That's the last generation. So when I look at a list like that, I can kind of tick it off and say, yeah, seems to be popular culture. There was a time where, you could check off some of this, but even the dishonesty, right? Like you have that truce breakers. I mean, we looked earlier, Logan Paul went in with a button camera, and he is a very celebrated person. It's like, this is a guy who is deceitful, and yet he's looked at as someone who has authority on a matter. It's a joke. Back in the day, someone would have just immediately called him out. I like to think back in the day, people had a little more honor. And even if they weren't the most savory person, they'd say, well, that's wrong that you did that. Don't just brush it off. That's not right that you did something like that. Own up to that. At least apologize. There was no apology. There's no remorse. But, Anyway, I just think we're heading towards that time.
Absolutely.
People like that.
Absolutely. I have a next clip up here I wanted to show you guys, but it just got caught by the content ID people. So I put it in the Discord. And for those that don't know what the Discord is, go to patreon.com/strangenormal, and you can be a part of this Discord. We're a group of us. You guys, Eric and Matthew, you're in the Discord, and we talk about this stuff throughout the whole week, and you can be up to date on it as soon as it comes out. I'll show you a few clips from this thing so I don't get content ID'd. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. But for the cost of a sit-down restaurant once a month, you can be a part of this Discord and see these clips that I put out that won't get caught by content ID that I can't play here. But let's play a little bit of Family Feud.
Ooh.
Answers on the board. Name the first thing you'd do if a UFO landed in your backyard.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there because I don't want to get caught by content ID. I'm going to scroll forward and I'm going to go to the final answers here. Because I want to show what everyone said here. This was interesting to me. If I can get it, man, this is a little more difficult than I thought. There we go. 4, 6. Grab a. Is that what they said? Oh, there we go. There's the last one. All right. So take a pic or a video. That was number 1. The second one was run. The third one was call 911 like they're gonna do anything. The third one was, or the fourth one was hide and lock the doors. And then the next one was say hi. Or maybe, was it the last one? Last one was grab a gun. What do you think about that? What do you think about those? It sounds to me like the majority of people are already skeptical about this. And which flies in the face of when I went out, me and Mikey went out, we did a man on the street and we talked to people. And it seemed that at least half, if not more, were like, yeah, I think they could help us. I think they could be good. So I wonder exactly. I'm going to repeat those things again. Take a pic. Okay, that's nice. Run, call 911, hide, lock the doors, say hi, and grab a gun. 2 out of the 6 of them are, they could be nice. What do you think?
Yeah, prayer's nowhere on that list.
Oh,
yeah, he's so right.
That's,
that's telling.
I was
huh?
expecting it to maybe even be last. Yeah, it is telling. That's now if you'd taken that same survey,
Grab a
100
gun
years
here
ago,
in the United States. God gave me the gun. All right, He already answered my prayer when He gave me this 45.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, man on the street interviews have become really depressing just because depending on where they do it too. Like if there's a popular YouTube political commentator he happens to live in California, and it's just the stuff that I think should be common knowledge that I learned in school that it's just people are completely clueless about. So yeah, I'm not surprised at some of those answers at all. Yeah, anybody who knows history just on the basis of like a rational perspective of, okay, a technologically advanced culture meets or civilization meets a not as advanced, and just pick any example in history. But that's the thing. People don't know history. They don't know anything. They just, it's all influencers and TikTok and 15-second or 10-second, whatever we're down to now, videos and sound bites, and that's their life.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Matthew, any comments?
Do you remember the Jeremy Corbell, I think it was? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Jeremy Corbell?
That's one of them.
Yeah. We just looked at a video of his not too long ago, several broadcasts back, but he had that UFO encounter, and he said that he didn't record it because it was like he didn't, what was that? He was like mystified by it. And I think he even said out loud, like, I'm not going to record this.
Yeah.
And the guy
his friend was like, what? Yeah.
You're not going to record this. Okay. We're not going to record it. So, although the majority of people were saying that they're going to record it and take a picture,
no one does.
They can influence you on a level exactly that if they don't want that video to be seen and produced for others, then I think they'll hold you in this state where it won't even cross your mind to do it. Or if it does cross your mind, you'll dismiss it because you just want to live in the moment with this thing. And that's impressive because really, if you look at a lot of concerts, for example, people go and they love to see these big platinum selling artists, and they'll watch the whole concert like this. Do you look at any of those pictures? Do you look at any of those videos after? No, you don't. But it's just a sea of phones and people watching the concert through their phone. And it's like, you've got the real thing right there. So I think that it's interesting. That's maybe even part of it is like, show me a little respect here. Don't you take out your camera. I want you to look at me with your own eyes because, maybe it'll
Didn't Adele just do that? I think Adele just basically said, yeah, she was giving a concert and she was like, hey, I'm right here, like live. I'm pretty sure it was Adele. Maybe somebody in the chat knows, but like, yeah, I mean, I don't blame artists for like, if you wanted to watch me on a screen, well, no, but I mean, it's like you go to a concert to be in person. If you want to hear music that's pre-recorded or on a screen or something, then watch it on a screen. Why are you that? It's. Anyways.
Yeah. No, I get it. And speaking of pop culture, we got one that didn't get hit by Content ID, and so I'm going to show it to you now. Jay Leno is back in the mix, and he is asking people about their UFO experiences on his show. Oh boy, watch this.
Now you've had some UFO encounters, is that correct?
Yeah, I did. I was 15 and I was meditating by the water in the woods. By a river. And then I was sitting there for about maybe an hour, I thought, but turned out to be 4 hours.
Were you doing something in between?
No.
No? Thought it was an hour, it was 4 hours.
Yeah.
Okay, look, so far they have $2,500. We come back to get a chance to double their winnings. People double their...
That seemed like a weird ending to that, didn't it? It was like...
Editor off.
Yeah, the editor was like, or maybe it was him. I'm not sure, but it was like, cut. Okay, we're moving. But did you notice?
Just accused her of being high and just moved on. With
yeah.
But
a couple things struck me. It was one. She's 15 and meditating. Why that's not something that I like. Didn't even know about that at 15.
And she saw a UFO. I've seen this over and over again. We've seen this over and over again on this channel. Meditation, UFOs, the weird connection between them. Meditation, UFOs, and I've come to the conclusion, this is my personal conclusion, that meditation is the exact opposite of prayer. And so you have meditation, it's almost as like you're praying to the devil. And follow me on this, because when we pray, we focus and internalize and think about God and ask him and basically communicate with him. When you meditate, you empty yourself, the exact opposite. You get rid of everything out of you, and you're
sweeping the house clean, and then 7 demons, because you haven't filled it with God, 7 more demons worse than the first can come in. If somebody can grab that, or maybe you probably know, Matthew, that where that was. Yeah, it's spot on.
Well, this is what I was thinking. So we have to be careful with meditation, because just glancing right here, I just typed it, just looked up the word meditation where it appears. We got Psalms already. We've got 4 pieces of scripture from Psalms, but this is Psalms 1:2. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, speaking of like a righteous person, and in his law doth he meditate day and night.
Satan's the master of changing words.
Exactly. Yeah, because I was going to say, you have to be careful when you say meditation, and I know what you're talking about, obviously, but just for even a person who's not familiar with this topic, you could bring up meditation is not a good thing. They might turn around and be like, whoa, hey, hold on, my Bible says to meditate, so I'm going to be meditating. But it's like, what is the Bible telling you to do? Meditate on the law. It says, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord. So we're meditating on things that approved by God. I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways. This is all from Psalms. My meditation of him shall be sweet. I will be glad in the Lord. So this type of a meditation is not an emptying of self. It's not just a blanking yourself out into what you do. Essentially is you're putting yourself into a hypnotic state. You're doing them a great service when you enter into a mindset like that, because you're putting out like static. You're like a blank station, and it's like broadcast whatever you want in. Like the stage is empty. Like you put your own scenery up there, put the setting. I'm in the audience, and all I'm doing is staring at a blank stage. So it's like do whatever you want on that stage. That's where the danger lies. But when we have true meditation, biblical meditation, we're taking the scriptures that we love and we know, we're thinking about the character of Jesus. We're thinking about his promises even. That's one of my favorite things to meditate on. If I'm just out for a walk and I'm out in the woods, say, and I'm like, right now it's beautiful. I'm sure it's beautiful for the majority of people. Spring has sprung. We've got leaves everywhere. I was in the woods walking with my kids the other day and just enjoying all the green, soaking it up. And I'm thinking, wow, if I'm enjoying a day out in the woods this much here on this tarnished earth, how much more am I going to appreciate it in the new earth? Yeah. Wow. What kind of a trail will I get to walk then? And hopefully my children will be right there with me in the new earth. So like, that's like the type of meditation that you could have, rather than I could enter into nature and just empty my mind like she's doing. She's sitting by the river, she said. I found that interesting because you're also making it like a sacred place. Mm-hmm. It has to do with, it reminds me of like pilgrimage, basically, which is this. Pilgrimages are endorsed by a lot of different religions, but specifically the Catholic Church loves for people to make a pilgrimage. Like if you can make a pilgrimage to Lourdes, for example, there's a great chance you're going to get healed, because Lourdes is a sacred place, and you can go to the spring there, and then you can get a little bit of the water, and that water is holy. You see what I mean? It's like you start to incorporate the physical world into your spirit, what is spiritually significant to you. And I think that's just another waypoint for them to access you and to deceive you. So, yeah, and meditation. You're right. Yeah, the meditation thing.
And speaking to what oh my goodness, why can't I remember your name? That's so sad, Matthew. Eric. What in the world? It must be getting late. Eric. Speaking to what Eric said just a minute ago.
You need to wear name tags.
Brain freeze for a second there. It was like, whoa. Okay, there we go. I wasn't meditating, and there was.
Call me Stephanie.
No, he'd call you Brittany.
Matthew 12 in the 40s. This is where that parable comes from, where Jesus is talking about how your brain is swept clean. And when if the demons find a state where you're completely clean in there, and he's like, hey, come back in. You got to fill your mind with that which is spiritual. You got to fill your mind with that which is biblical. You got to read the Bible. You got to pray. You gotta not just empty it, but you have to put good things in it. This is our choice. This isn't works. This is the choice that you got to make every single day. And so Matthew 12, 40 through 45 says, then he says, I will return to my house, speaking of where they were, from whence I came out, because he was cast out of the person, the demon was. And when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept and garnished. And then he go in and take with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of the man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be unto this wicked generation. So yeah, that was 100% correct. I have one more small clip that is very short, and this goes to show you the state of the world and where things are going. We also, if you watch previous episodes, the new UFO UAP that appeared in Afghanistan. This was confirmed by the Pentagon in this last disclosure from the Pentagon. I think it was a Pentagon disclosure. They were in there, but it was a very small room with not a lot of people in it.
Is that the spherical one?
Yeah.
That got caught by the Reaper drone?
Mm-hmm. And so they show that exact one, but then they say there's another person that has confirmed that they've seen more of them. So watch this.
Well, a retired member of the Navy says he saw a mysterious metallic orb in Afghanistan similar to this one shown in a video during last month's Senate hearings on UFOs. The veteran, who has not been identified, says there is no secure way for him to come forward. He says he would have to get proper documentation to reveal everything he knows about the UFO. Well, it was a weekend.
And then it goes to King Charles. So
speaking of the occult.
That's a whole nother can of worms, man.
Actually, I was just watching a video on that, but let's not go too far into that.
Yeah, that could be one of your after shows, Brad.
It could be. And actually, we might talk a little bit about that. But there is one thing I want to talk about real quick. This came up last week, but I couldn't do a show on it because we had a amazing interview with Wendy, and she talked about
that was really good, by the way.
The books that she
I really enjoyed that.
And what she learned by that. Yeah. She and I can't say enough about Wendy and her husband. They invited us over, Mikey and I, and we stayed at their place, and we did a little presentation for their church in Indiana, and it was a very neat thing to meet everyone there and talk. And so Wendy was on the program, and she told us about what she had read in these things. And we don't necessarily condone going in and reading the stuff that is put out by these people, but she had already read it, and so she wanted to hold and talk a little bit about it on the show. We actually might have her back a little bit. She's got quite some experiences in teaching, and that's what I'm going to say about that right now, because it's going to be a fascinating show that she's going to tell us about. But NASA.gov. A lot of people don't like NASA, especially on this channel, but I'm going to talk about them anyway. NASA provides coverage. This is the article on NASA, May 12, 2023. Media Advisory, M23-058, whatever that means. You know, the government likes their numbers. NASA provides coverage of unidentified anomalous, that's the new word, the new word, unidentified anomalous phenomenon meeting. So this is new. This is new. NASA is holding a public meeting at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, Wednesday, May 31. This is May 18, so that's coming up. May 31 of its independent study team on categorizing and evaluating data of unidentified anomalous phenomenon. The agency also will hold a media teleconference at the conclusion of the meeting. The full meeting will air on NASA television, the NASA app, and the agency's website through 2:30 p.m. Watch it at nasa.gov/live. NASA defines UAP as the observations of events in the sky that cannot be identified as aircraft or known natural phenomena from a scientific perspective. This is a pretty dry article, but basically what they're saying is, hey, we're going to talk about this live, and you might want to come and see it. This is actually quite a long article, and it goes into more detail. They also say you can submit to them your questions about what you want them to answer about what they know about this stuff. And if anybody has ever seen C-SPAN, the government, or a talk about this by government officials, they know they don't answer. You don't find out unless you ask a question. All answers only happen if you were asked the right question. You have to word it correctly. So there's a lot of people that are asking questions right now, and they're upvoting and downvoting some of the questions. So it's kind of fascinating. What do you guys think about that?
I think they're going to come out May 31st, and they're going to say, they're real, they're here, everybody panic, everybody run, everybody take a picture. Yeah, I'm sure it'll blow the lid off the whole thing.
I'll catch the rerun. I mean, or maybe we can dissect it on the show.
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
I'm gonna try to upload it.
Oh yeah, there's so much to watch. I recently discovered listening to videos or watching them at 1.5 speed, and it's fascinating. Like it's just I feel like I'm, when Neil's getting all that stuff in the Matrix, and he's just getting I wish there's just too much information. I wish I could do that sometimes, because it's just I can't watch and listen to everything. But I'm sure it will be dry, and I'm sure it will be, like you said, Matthew, like you're not going to get any real answers to anything. It's just going to be, well, it'll be. How about we tear it apart after they do it?
Oh, we will.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Definitely looking forward to that.
And by the way, nobody watch this video at 1.5 speed or 2 speed, because that will hurt my retention. And the shorter you spend on the video, the more YouTube thinks, oh, this isn't quality. They don't even like to stick around and listen to what happens. That's why you have to talk faster.
Be watching at a 0.5 speed. You hear me?
0.5. Yeah.
Does that increase the retention if you slow it down?
Yes.
Does it have Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. There's a guy, if you YouTube him, he actually, what he did was he recorded himself and he sped it up.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm thinking.
And he sped it up, and then he uploaded to YouTube and said, watch this. And he said at normal speed, watch this at 0.5 speed, and we're going to see if it hacks the retention. And he got millions of views on his video because YouTube said, oh, this is a great video. People are spending 4 times the amount of time on this video, and it's only this long. And so it hacked the algorithm. And so if you speed up a video, I mean, don't worry about it, but you're hurting the YouTube channel because they think, oh, this guy isn't good content. He doesn't have very good stuff. So
yeah, try to watch a congressional hearing on 0.5 and let me know if you don't want to. Some of these people talking like I'm at 1.5 speed and they sound normal, and I'm just like, is this really? And then I slow it down. It's just horrendous,
Sometimes I wish I could do that at sermons. I'll be honest with you. Get to the point. But I think that's this generation though, and we're all a TikTok generation where we have to hit that button and get to the point. I want to know the point. What they teach us as you're doing this YouTube stuff, that when you're making the intro to a regular video, make it as if it's a TikTok. Make it as a short and get to the point fast and get those first 5 seconds, those first 8 seconds are the most important. Otherwise, you can't hook them. They're not going to stick around. So it's a fascinating generation. But
well, I don't even think that's our generation. Isn't it a music thing? You're about music. Don't bore us. Get to the chorus. Like
I never heard that before.
Yeah. You ever heard that one, Matt?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think. Speaking for just myself, I wish this system would get to the point. We'd get to the point where this is, over. That's what I'm looking forward to. But obviously, there's work to do and people to be woken up. So that's what God's waiting for us, thankfully.
Yeah. Well,
so
maybe
until
there is
then,
some merit to that, because if you look at Jesus, the Sermon on the Mount, that's very to the point. I mean, it's just like boom, 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 boom. There's no fluff in there. I mean, if you read, anytime Jesus is sermonizing, it's like that's 0.5 speed. I need it on 0.5 speed at that point, because it's like hold on. There's so many little things sometimes that he says. It's just like I can spin off in a totally different direction. Then he's off to the next point. Can you imagine actually being in his presence? During those, it's a wonder that, I mean, obviously modern day, we have zero attention span, zero memory. I think we would seriously be vegged out in front of him. It's just like, what? I mean, the fact that the apostles could remember that and share the stories and write it down eventually, what a blessing.
What a blessing.
Maybe that's why he came in that time. When people ask the question, hey, why did Jesus decide to come in that time? There's not even modern technology. It's like people actually could think back then. They were capable of processing the information. Nowadays,
there was a comedian that did a joke about that said if Jesus came back now, everybody would miss it because they'd be on their phones.
Yeah.
Really?
That's about right. Well, that's about it for tonight. Anybody want to have a little prayer before we go?
Yeah, sure.
You
gonna pray us out, Bradley?
Let's do it. Yeah, actually, you, Matthew. Why don't you pray us out?
Me? All right. Sounds good. Father in heaven, we want to thank you for gathering us here today. We'd like you to bless all of the viewers. Thank you for all of the people who have contributed in the form of donations, prayers, just watching and being present during the streams, or watching the show after the fact. I think we have a really excellent community here, and we just ask that you give us courage, give us wisdom, and allow us to spread this message in the most effective way possible, in the most meaningful way possible, so that the people who need to hear this get to hear this. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, guys. Hang around for a little while longer. We're going to do a little post show, and I'm going to talk with you a little bit more for our Patreons. Guys, we really appreciate you hanging out with us. My name is Brad Burnham. This has been Pure Strangeness, Absolute Normalcy. Strange Normal. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching this segment. Subscribe to our channel and join us every Thursday night for more daily strange topics and more. Find us on Discord by accessing patreon.com/strangenormal.